Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Only a few days to go until the kickoff. I can't wait, trust me, until Friday night when Arsenal take on Crystal Palace. I was down by their ground yesterday filming some content, and I have to say, their fans are very, very confident that they're going to get a win. And listen, you can't blame them. They beat us at their place very easily last year. I think that was the beginning of the end of our top four hopes when we lost to them away. And even at home, we got a very fortunate 2-2 draw, if you remember. Lacazette in the last seconds of the game. So you can see why they're confident, but I'm confident as well. Arsenal playing really, really well in pre-season, looking like a really cohesive unit. And I think we can go into that game with a lot of heart. We are looking decent. And, you know, what business is going to be done before we actually get to that game? Looks like Arsenal sort of on the clear-out mode at the moment. That seems to be the top priority, trying to get some of these high-earning players out through the door. We've already moved out Nuno Tavares on loan. He's not a high earner. It's a little bit different with him. The fact that he weren't going to play. He's already gone out on loan to Marseille. But by the way, on that, right, I don't know if you saw his debut. Typical Nuno Tavares, right? He came on, literally got sent off straight away. That was reversed after they looked on it on VAR because he was got done for putting a tackle. They were playing AC Milan, putting a tackle and being the last man. But when they looked on VAR, he wasn't actually the last man. So he got a reprieve. And then after that, he played brilliantly. Did really, really well. They did lose the game 2-0. But that's Nuno Tavares summed up for you. A raw talent. Let's hope he can hone that over there at Marseille. But just going back to, as I was saying, the outgoings, Leno, definitely on his way out. It's all been agreed. £8 million joining Fulham this week. Going to be announced before the end of the week. Doing the medical and, yeah, done and dusted. And sad to see him go. Been a great servant for Arsenal. I think he's been a very, very good player for Arsenal. Bit unlucky. You can see why Mikel Arteta has gone for Ramsdale. I just think that Ramsdale, his distribution is just so much better than Leno. I'm not saying he's a better shot stopper or anything like that. I think there's not a lot in it. But when it comes to distribution, definitely Ramsdale, I think, is a lot better. Progresses it a lot quicker than Leno. And I think that's the reason why Mikel Arteta's gone for him. But Leno would have been a lovely number 2 to have kept, but unfortunately, he ain't playing number 2, and he's on his way out for $8 million. Lucas Torreira yesterday being heavily linked with a move away to Galatasaray. Now, the deal said to come up to around about £7 million, which is nothing when you think that we paid like nearly £27 million for Lucas Torreira. It represents a massive loss. He spent half of his time at Arsenal out on loan. And Arsenal have reportedly accepted the offer from Galatasaray. And it's down to Lucas Torreira to agree personal terms. Now, a bit of a strange one for me. I thought that maybe Lucas Torreira would be looking for a move back to Italy. He hasn't yet agreed this move. He hasn't yet agreed personal terms, but the deal is on the table for him to go to Galatasaray for 3 years. I said it on the evening show last night. I mean, if he was homesick in London, he's going to be homesick in Istanbul. I don't think there's many Uruguayan people living there either. So, but let's wait and see how that one pans out. Lucas Torreira, I was asking this question yesterday as well. Did he really get a proper chance at Arsenal? He seemed to, he was never really trusted, was he? He played a little bit as a defensive midfielder. Then he was moved into a sort of more attacking position under Unai Emery. And then after that, he's just not really had a chance. But various different loan moves. Listen, we need to move him out. He needs to move on. And if it's Galatasaray, then fair enough. But £7 million, what a loss. You know what? I was going over some of the signings right now. Remember, Sven Mislintat, when he came in, GoldenEye, everybody was heralding him and saying, what a fantastic signing for Arsenal. Remember, he was at Borussia Dortmund and was famed for bringing in some top signings there like Aubameyang and people like that. Then he came to Arsenal, and just going through some of his signings, under Sven Mislintat, Arsenal spent £129 million, right? Aubameyang. I think it was a good signing. Didn't work out. The way it ended wasn't great. But you have to say for a couple of seasons, Aubameyang was a very, very good signing, was carrying Arsenal, and I'd say good signing for Arsenal, although it didn't in the end work out. The way he went wasn't ideal. Mavropanos, who basically virtually never played for Arsenal, went out on loan to Stuttgart, has now become a permanent Stuttgart player. But Mavropanos, Mkhitaryan, flopped. Leno, good signing. That's another good one, But again, a big loss on Leno. And look at the losses we're taking on these players. Mkhitaryan went for literally nothing. he sort of came in on a swap deal anyway. Aubameyang signed for over 50 odd million. Nothing we got back for him. Mavropanos, virtually nothing. He didn't cost a lot, to be fair. Leno signed for 20 odd million, 25 million, something like that. 8 million going out. Torreira signed for 27 million. If he goes to Galatasaray, 7 million, a 20 million pound loss. We signed Socrates. Again, a lot, 17 million I think we paid on him. Another loss on him. We signed Lichtsteiner. Remember him? Disastrous signing. Absolutely disastrous. Was on his last legs when we signed him. And Guendouzi, of course, I think signed him for about 7 million, sold him for about 8 million. So a slight profit. But as it stands, 129 million spent. We're probably going to recoup back about 26.5 million. You have to say that period of Sven Mislintat was disastrous for Arsenal. The only two positives there were Leno and Aubameyang. And the rest of them, Guendouzi, he's a talented player, but just a bit crazy, isn't he? But a disastrous period. And that just goes to show that you've got to get your transfer business right. And I think when you look at what Edu's doing at the moment in trying to bring in young players, bringing in players basically that even if they flop, at least they're worth something if you sell them on, whereas in the past, some of them signings like Socrates, and it was just not good enough. Lichtsteiner, people like that. So I think we're going in the right direction when we're doing our transfers. Listen, there's always going to be some transfers that really, really work, and there's going to be transfers that don't work out. Because remember, under Edu signed Willian, right? Fortunately for him, Willian cancelled his contract and walked away for nothing. But it was him who signed Willian as well. So he can get it wrong as well. But let's hope we can get the majority of them right. Now, Leroy Sane has been heavily linked with Arsenal. Bild's claiming that, and that's a German publication, Bild, they're claiming that Arsenal are still interested in Leroy Sane if he becomes available. Problem is, at the moment, he's not available. Bayern Munich kind of insisting that he's not for sale. But if he becomes available, Arsenal said to be interested in trying to get Leroy Sane. This is why some of these deals could sort of wind down to near the end of the window closing on the 1st of September. Now, what about this guy, Leroy Tielemans? Every day we're talking about him. Brendan Rodgers, by the way, under a lot of pressure with his transfer policy. Leicester City, at the moment, their fans must be raging. They have not made a signing. The only team in the top 5 divisions to have not made a signing in English football, not one. They're under pressure for their top players. We're after Tielemans. Chelsea are trying to get Fofana. And Fofana's making noises that he'd like to go to Chelsea, despite the fact that Leicester saying he's not for sale. Maddison, another bid came in for him yesterday from Newcastle for £50 million. Kasper Schmeichel on his way to Nice. One of their sort of stalwarts leaving the club. It's just been a really bad period for Brendan Rodgers, and he's under a lot of pressure. And he was being asked about Tielemans yesterday. As I said, Leroy Tielemans linked heavily to Arsenal. He's being asked about Tielemans, and these are are his quotes when asked about if Tielemans is going to be staying. He said there's a possibility, but there's not been anything for him. He's talking about bids. We haven't had any approaches to the club on that. And then he goes on to say, of course, it is in the back of my mind, the sort of what-if scenario, but he doesn't want anything to drag on either. And that is all regarding the links with Leroy Tielemans away. So Rodgers admitting there that Tielemans doesn't want this to drag on, and that he knows that, you know, Tielemans is being linked with a move away. It's a strong possibility he's going to go. He knows when are Arsenal going to come in and try and make their move. Leicester have said to be trying to look for around about 40 million for Tielemans. They're not going to get that. Arsenal were sort of willing to pay about 30. Could there be a compromise once Arsenal have got rid of a couple of players of around 35 million pounds? We're going to have to wait and see. But Leicester know Tielemans is definitely going. And as he said, Tielemans doesn't want it to drag on either. So can this deal be done sooner or later? And as I said, remember, we're playing Leicester the week after we play Crystal Palace. So I'm sure they're not going to want to go into that with all that speculation surrounding that, because it will be a media circus up until that date talking about Tielemans going to Arsenal and really destabilise them. And funny enough, on Maddison, who's been linked with a move away, still only 25, Maddison, top midfield player. We know that the team that's been in for him is Newcastle, put in a bid yesterday of £50 million. I know that Brendan Rodgers was saying that can even only buy like one of his legs, right? So, but Maddison, according to the journalist Dean Jones, is only interested in a move to either Arsenal or Tottenham. He's not interested in going to Newcastle, Arsenal or Tottenham. Remember last year, Arsenal were interested in Maddison. They're very, very interested in Maddison. It didn't get done in the end. And I don't think Arsenal will go back in for him. Listen, they got Martin Odegaard. They bought in Fabio Vieira. I like Maddison. I think it would be a fantastic signing. But where would he fit in? Where would he play? I mean, I guess you could say if we're being linked with players like Lucas Paqueta, he's just more of an attacking midfielder as well. But Maddison really is a sort of number 10 type player, and we've kind of got two players now that are going to be in that position. Edu even was saying about Paqueta that, you know, we've already got players in that position as well. So I very much doubt we go for Maddison, but interested that he'd only like to have a move to either Arsenal or Spurs, he's saying. And Pablo Mari, another player that we know is looking to be on the way out. He's been linked with a load of clubs. He was linked with a move to Turkey as well with Fenerbahce, but he turned down that move. He doesn't want to go to Fenerbahce. The publication TMW saying that he's in talks with Monza, newly promoted Monza in Serie A, the team that came up from Serie B last season. He's in talks with them about a move to Monza. So let's watch this space on that one. So those are your rumours for today. Things hotting up, especially on players leaving. We will keep you up to date with all of that. And also don't forget to check out all of our preview content coming out around that game against Crystal Palace. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you.